Hi everyone, welcome back to SanaA's garden and welcome if you're new here. I hope you all are doing great. So let's get straight to the point. Today I'm doing the layered bulb planting, popularly known as the bulb lasagna or lasagna planting of bulbs. So what is a bulb lasagna? So firstly, a bulb lasagna is a way of layering spring flowering bulbs to create a display of flowers that lasts all through the spring. So here I'm just demonstrating how the layers go. The space between the layers should be at least 2 inches. I'm using 6 different types of bulbs here, which I shall discuss in detail shortly. So obviously the pot is very small here, that's the reason I have layered them so closely, but we should have at least 1 or 2 inches gap between the two layers. Now let's have a quick look at the bulbs I'm using. The first ones are alliums. Whenever you buy bulbs, there is always information on when to plant, when they flower, how deep and how apart to plant them. So please hang on to the plant tags or the bulb information cards. And regarding how to plant a bulb, the pointy end always goes up and the roots always go at the base, so it's quite easily identifiable here. And the second bulbs I'm using here is the Dutch iris. These are a white and blue Dutch iris. So I'm going with a theme here, blue and white. All of the bulbs that I'm using are almost the same color. The next ones are tulips. These are a double late blue spectacle tulips. So yeah, that's the base of the tulip and that's the pointy end which goes always at the top. So the fourth bulbs I'm using here are the hyacinths. The next ones are white Pushkinias. These bulbs are really small and cute. And the sixth and the last kind of bulbs are the crocuses. So this one decided to divide. So that's all the bulbs that I'll be using in this arrangement. So if you can see with the pictures, they all coordinate in colors. Now let's get started with the planting. I have this pot here with some drainage holes at the bottom and I have filled a couple of inches of it with some multi-purpose compost. And the first bulbs to go in here are the alliums. These will go in the center and they will be the last ones to flower, so I have put them at the bottom. So these will be the tallest, that's the reason I have them in the center. And now I'm layering it with some more compost, few inches, 1 or 2 inches should do. So the next bulbs to go in here are the Dutch iris. These will flower the same time as alliums as well, which is from May to June, and these are a little bit shorter than the alliums, so I have placed them around outside, if I can say, to the alliums. So we create a nice layered effect. So whatever bulbs you have, just work out your numbers with the height and the time of their blooming. So I have planted the most late blooming bulbs at the bottom. So we start by planting the last blooming bulbs at the bottom and continue our way up to the earliest blooming bulbs. And now I have covered the Dutch iris with a good 1 or 2 inches of compost. This is just normal multi-purpose compost. There is also bulb planting compost available if you would like to use. And now we move on to the next bulbs, which are the tulips. These are a double late blue spectacle tulips. I could only find one bag of this color, and if I happen to find any more in this color, I shall definitely add a few more to each pot I plant. I didn't want to disturb the color, so I didn't end up putting any other color in it. So I really want to stay with the white and blue for this pot. The next bulbs to go in here are the hyacinths, and these are also a white and blue combination, and the only ones that I could find on the shelf, unfortunately. I shall try and add a few more. So why consider lasagna planting? After such a cold and dark winter, all we need is some color and freshness in our lives to get us all ready and geared up for the season. And we still have at least 3 to 4 months wait for the powerful summer annuals to show up for all that color and growth. So what do we do then? I mean, we can still have a prolific show of colors from the beginning of spring, continuing us into the summer until we get all the annuals ready. So by layering the spring bulbs with the different bloom times, you'll be having a continuous show of color and beautiful flowers. The next bulbs to go in are the Pushkinias. These are also called as Libanoticas. So these will be blooming from March to April. So these are one of the earliest. So I'm just layering them around the periphery of the container because these will be fairly shortest among all of the bulbs. So I want them to be at the front. So once all the bulbs are in the place, I'm going to add another layer of compost and cover them nicely. So one thing I would like to mention here is do not worry about the bulbs in the bottom layers of the container. I mean, they will find their way up. Even if the growth hits another bulb, it will bend and just find the sun. Do not worry about how deep they are. It's always better to have the bulbs planted deeper than having planted them shallow, and then there will be a threat of being dug up by animals and you may lose all your bulbs. So the last bulbs to go in this container are the crocuses. These are also a white and blue. So I have these crocuses in a scattered manner for the last layer because these are the shortest and the earliest blooming bulbs among all the bulbs we have used today. So we should have a fairly full container from the beginning. I'm adding another nice layer of compost on top, and that's it. Our bulb lasagna is ready. If you would like, you can go ahead and add some autumn or fall plants on the top layer. I didn't have any plants on the particular day I was planting the bulbs, but I later went ahead and added a few fall plants in the top layer so I can still enjoy the container for a couple of months before we get into the winter. I'm also planting a second container with the other half of the bulbs that I put aside. I'm drilling few holes at the bottom of the container for drainage. So drainage is really important and the soil needs to be very fluffy and well draining soil. Please do not use any direct garden soil for the containers. If you're planting in the ground, it's okay. But if you're planting in the containers, please use compost, any multi-purpose compost or the bulb planting compost. So I think that's my second container already. So I went ahead and added these sweet William. I think these are a type of carnations. That's the only ones I could find in my local garden center. They didn't bring any new fall plants yet. So that's how my container is looking now. Once they start blooming, I shall be posting their updates here on my channel, so please be on a lookout for it. And that's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed watching this and got some tips from it. So keep gardening. Bye.